Okay. Let's get class 33. What are we going to be doing? This one, a northbound service from Bishop's Lydeard to Railway. While I'm doing that, I've just got to quickly close my blind because the sun right in my way. Just close it down. There we go. Oh, you tripped myself over on there and shoot. How embarrassing is that? Right, let's sit down. Oh, what am I doing? Where is it? There we go, I'm back. Right, let's just sort a few things up. First of all, marker lights to on. AWS must be prepared. Oh, I ain't got my master key on. As I have destination bind being rather appropriately 33. Okay. Let's go. No, any time, dear. Come on. There we go. I think we got a 7 car train today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7. Take a look at the chat. Jackson Payne, hey, how are you? Edward the Grand, hey, how are you? I feel like when a new DLC is about to be announced. I hope you're right, Jackson Payne. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Getting a little bit on the boring side at the moment. What is it? This is a Class 33 on West Somerset. I thought I'd return to West Somerset in, well, summertime in the UK. Actually, summer. The only other time I play it is if a new locomotive can be used on West Somerset or gets added to West Somerset. SpaceX is launching the rocket today. I've heard about SpaceX, the rocket. First time in 8 years that the Americans are going to the International Space Station at 4:33 PM. Well, let's hope they don't blow up the rocket. That would be very clever of them if they did that. I believe Virgin, I think a couple of days ago, they did some sort of test flight, and that ended very badly. Turn off the power a minute, there we go. First stop is Crookham Heathfield, due in at 12:34 in under 3 miles time. Not too bad. I quite like the 33. It's really, West Somerset really suits its surroundings. A green loco in pretty much a green location, really. Mostly forests or forests, fields, and you know, everywhere is green. A green loco in a green location. I mean, I like the 52 as well, don't get me wrong. 52 is pretty cool, and I think 52 would be really cool. It would be really good for Great Western Express when it comes to rail tour services. That would be quite cool. The Transit Enthusiast, hey, how are you? Edward is playing Northeast Corridor, New York as of now. Pretty sweet. And the Transit Enthusiast is waiting for his Grand Theft Auto Online to load. Good luck on GTA Online, you're gonna need it. This has gotten out of control, GTA Online. I don't go on GTA Online very much, hardly at all, but I know every time I do go on it, it's just absolute chaos and carnage. Like 30 seconds in, you're getting blown to smithereens, or flying cars, or I don't know, the Titanic appearing out of nowhere, or whatever. It's crazy. But yeah, the Northeast Corridor, it's kind of underrated, really. It's a good route, Northeast Corridor, in my opinion. It is a pretty good route. A lot of different experiences, especially when you add the Amtrak shunter to the mix. That DLC does add quite a bit. But from the offset, you've got, you know, passenger services with the AC64. You've got a lot of freight action with the 38-2. Of course, the Amtrak. You've got SW1000R. You've got a lot of shunting in Sunnyside Yard, and you've got a slight difference of passenger experiences with the Amtrak cab car. I mean, what's letting it down is signal and safety systems being, well, practically non-existent, and visually it's not up to par with some of the more newer routes. So I think it just needs a bit of a lick of paint and a few fixes here and there with the signal and safety systems, and I think it would be a pretty good route, really, because you've got a lot of different experiences, which some routes you don't get. So I think it's pretty good, and that's why I feel it's a bit underrated. But you know, hey, that's just the way it is, isn't it? Yeah, but hopefully a DLC will be announced soon. We're coming towards the end of May, so I'm pretty sure we will get an announcement soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, maybe next week. I've got a feeling that we all might get an announcement this week or next week, surely. What it will be, I don't know. Will it be a loco add-on? Will it be a new route? Will it be old? Will it be new? Who knows? Country-wise, it's got to be the United Kingdom. I think it's about time for you add-on. I wouldn't be surprised if the East Coastway is at the top of the list. Maybe a class 313 or 345 or something like that. That'll be a nice welcome addition to East Coastway. The only other add-on I could potentially think of is an add-on to Great Western Express, which is I wouldn't want to put a bet on that, that's for sure. Not on Great Western Express. It hasn't seen the light of day for nearly 3 years, so probably not. But yeah, I've been watching quite a few in the afternoon Was it the afternoon today, or was it this morning? Maybe it was this morning. I was watching some just random videos really of trains and stuff. One of them was history of Virgin trains, and obviously one of them was about what was it? It was a pretty famous locomotive in the UK locomotive in the 70s and 80s. The infamous train that made passengers sick all the time. I forget what it's called. It's very, think of it like a Class 43, but a bit weirder, if you like. I think it was the concept designs were made in the 60s, and then they tried to run it once in the 70s or early 80s, and it was a bit of a disaster reliability wise. It took it off the road, or off the rails I should say, do some tweaks and bring it back. But by that time it came back into service. I think the UK's love with the railway was starting to go a bit backwards, and ironically the prototypes of this high-speed train back then, they were doing tests on the East Coast, in the East Coast main line, and ironically the technology that when they canned the project, I think what was it, 1990s or something, I forget, they basically just gave the designs to other railway companies around Europe, and of course an Italian company made the very well known Penn. They made a high-speed train, and that ironically now goes along on the East Coast main line. I was watching the Japanese bullet train, and I was watching also a very good video I advise you to go and check out, why trains in North America suck, or why Amtrak is crap, or something like that. I forget what it's called, but yeah, very, very interesting. It's kind of like a documentary style video. The North American, it was about North American railroads or something. So quite interesting actually. But here we go. We're approaching Crocombe Heathfield. I'll look at the chats when we come to a stop. What time are we doing? 12:34. Oh, we're going to be miles early. Oh, I see. That's great. Epic, man. Groovy. There's no trains in front of us, is there? No, there's not. Not coming into the platform or in front of us, so should be okay. Shouldn't be any disruptions ahead, hopefully. Now these brakes, they take a while to fully apply. Alright, come on, come on. That will do. Ideal. Signal goes down. Doors unlocked. Okay, I can take a look at the chat. Leonardo Thompson, hey, how are you doing? Shane Jones, hey, how are you? Jackson Payne, I don't know why British Rail is making the Class 08s into hybrids. I honestly don't know why. I wouldn't be surprised if it was something to do with the environment, maybe. That could be a good explanation. The environment, obviously tackling climate change is huge importance now, and obviously the rail, but obviously at the moment maybe the UK is figuring out short-term solutions to the gas guzzlers or fuel guzzlers, whatever you want to call them. Jackson Payne APT is the train. Yeah, let me try and find it a minute. I had it earlier on and it was really good. We got a bit of time. We got plenty of time, haven't we? Just got to try and find it. Find the damn thing. Where is it? 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 It's on my iPad somewhere. Hang on, I'll just try and find it before the stream breaks into a million pieces, which is probably what will happen. Got my own playlist. Come on. Yes, the APT, that's right, you are right. Mr. Payne, Jackson Payne is correct, it is the APT. What was the other one? Yeah, it was Wendover Productions, Why Trains Suck in America. And then there was another one by Bloomberg which said, Are trains, Americans ready to love trains again? Yeah, they're all about high-speed rail. In America, they're a bit behind regarding high-speed rail. Don't worry, the UK is as well. And the video was pretty fascinating, to be honest. Yeah, I think there was one particular part of the slightly short but longish documentary. It was on about a service known as, what was it called? Brightline, I think. And it was made by, created by some billionaire of, I don't know who was in charge of some big NFL team or Miami Dolphins or whatever, I've no idea. But yeah, it was a very interesting little project. It's kind of like a high-speed rail. It's a high-speed rail service, but it's not like a very, very long route, which was very interesting. There was also interesting like developments regarding high-speed rail. There's apparently one going from Orlando to Miami. I think it's like they're kind of looking at between 200 to 500 mile routes, not like ridiculously long routes, but long routes enough. To Orlando to Miami, that sounds pretty interesting. Not gonna lie. And yeah, bring it on. That's what I say. Yeah, there was also some developments of maybe doing one in Texas, which is pretty cool. There was one going from, where was it going from? I don't know. One going to Los Angeles. I'm not particularly sure where. I'm not entirely sure where. There was also considering. It was amazing. I mean, this billionaire just thinking of high-speed rail, like changing. Literally wants to change railroading in America. I found it fascinating, but it wasn't just focusing on the big cities. It was focusing on, you know, some more rural areas, if you like. There's one slap bang right towards the Canadian border, northwest America, or I don't know how you, northwest, yeah, northwest, like Seattle or something. I'm not particularly sure where, but I find it fascinating. Yeah, so I advise you to go and have a look at that. If you haven't already, you probably have, but I found it fascinating. And then there was one about why Amtrak suck in America. I found that rather funny, because Amtrak only owns like a tiny little bit of the rails in North America. I think they own a bit of the Northeast Corridor, and that's pretty much it, because I suppose that's their most profitable route in terms of money. But the rest of it, the tracks in America, the railroads, they're all owned by freight companies. I presume there was a very funny statistic. I think I can't remember what the route was, but it was owned by. I'm trying to get this in my head. BNSF. BNSF. And basically, the Amtrak trains do run on this line. I forget what it is, but it's ironic that when the Amtrak services are late, they blame effectively they put all the blame on BNSF, because obviously they have their trains have priority, you know, the big long freight trains, and of course the Amtrak trains have to sit and wait for them to pass, or, you know, so on and so forth. So I found that quite funny. Jackson Ohio needs a Bright Line route. Yeah, the Bright Line franchise, again, it sounds very interesting. I mean, they're not going for ridiculous. It's not like they're trying to build a railroad that stretches from one side of the country to the other. They're just doing it in little sections in some American cities, and I quite like that concept. That idea. It's just very well thought, in my opinion. But whether that happens, or if it becomes reality, then we'll have to wait and see. Jackson Payne America does not want Bright Line to stay. Oh, that's not very nice of him. I think it's a tremendous idea. Because if you want to save the planet, then this is the way to go, really. Because there was one statistic that said, I think it was a Bright Line in, I forget which train it was, but apparently in the first year of Bright Line operating services, apparently it took off 4 million cars off the road, which is quite a statistic. So it certainly does its job in saving the planet, that's for sure. It's just if people will buy into the idea, and I think they will, particularly that route going from Miami to Florida. I think that's Miami to Florida? I don't know, Florida to Orlando, that's it. I found that rather interesting. Right, off we go. Our next stop is Stockumber, however you say it. We're due in at 12:43 in under 2.5 miles time. Isn't that cool? Not many people use it. They do use diesels, and they are allowed. Well, I'm sure at first they will use diesels, but in the future, obviously, of course, I'm sure they will find ways of making them green. I think what they need to do is build the route first, get them up and running, make sure it's quite popular, and then electrify them. Because of course they need a bit of money to bring more investment and more developments to the future. Just looking up the routes. Whoops. Brake is something thing, right. Yeah, but they were considering doing quite a few routes, these Bright Line company. They were considering of doing one from, I've got it up here, they were going from Las Vegas to Victoriaville, which is just outside Los Angeles. One in Texas going from Dallas to Houston. So, pretty interesting plans. And of course, with Amtrak now, they've got a new chief executive called Mr. Anderson. I'm sure you might have heard of him. He was the one that kind of brought... it was an airline. What was it called? It was called Delta, I think, from the brink of bankruptcy. On the verge of bankruptcy into profit, and is quite popular, and he's in charge of Amtrak, so yeah, he could do wonders at Amtrak, because Amtrak do need a bit of a facelift, not just commercially of course, but yeah, they need a complete evolution, Amtrak, not with the trains but with the routes, with everything, literally everything, the infrastructure, the way they treat their customers. They need a humongous turnaround, and I think this new chief, if this chief executive, who's obviously known to be the super duper one that brought a struggling airliner that was on the verge of bankruptcy to profit, then I'm pretty sure that yeah, I'm pretty sure Amtrak will come good in the end. It just takes time, unfortunately. Jackson Penn, the Federal Transportation Administration says they're new to it, aren't they? That's the only thing I'm going to say to it. And they're new to it, and you got to be honest. I mean, you can't blame Brightline for some accidents. I mean, let's be honest. It's not their fault that some drivers be an idiot and try and go across the tracks while a train is like, I don't know, 5 to 10 meters away at speeds, at very high speeds. So but at first, you know, Bright Lines did have a bit of a poor track record, but apparently, according to the video I watched, their safety record has steadily improved. But yeah, I mean, you can criticise as much as you like about Brightline, but you know, whatever mode of transportation you use, it's never going to be perfect. You know, whether it's a different railroad company or use or flyby or travel by air or travel by road, you know, regardless, there's always going to be something that is not perfect. So but I quite like the idea of a Bright Line, and I think that would be great to see if we see Bright Line to Train Sim World. I think that would be really interesting, particularly on these new routes they're planning on doing. I mean, that's one thing I'm surprised like Dovetail doesn't do. Like when you see the simulators like you know, what's this, like Gran Turismo, you know, letting their partners make cars of the future and all sorts. I mean, wouldn't it be great if Dovetail did that with some of their partners? You know, like, hey, we've seen the plans for making this railroad or with this locomotive, why don't you make it virtually and bring it to life and see what people think of it? You know, I think that'd be fantastic. Oh, my Muppet. We're approaching Stacumba and I completely forgot about Stacumba. I do apologise. I'll just reduce the brakes. Oh, come on. Release those brakes. No. Oops. Never mind. That was my fault. Never mind. Oh well, at least we made it. Oh dear. Not many passengers will get on or get off. But it's what I like about West Somerset, you know, these old plastic signs in the countryside. It's what Heritage Railway is about, you know. Jackson Bay, I'm just a person that does not like Brightline that much. Fair enough, we're all entitled to our opinion. I just think that people criticise new startups, you know, and too quickly. You know, they don't give them much of a chance to get up to speed. And I think, like, probably 10 years down the line, I think new projects, regardless if it's road or rail or whatever, they will come good. We've just got to give them time and let them get on with it. I mean, criticism, of course, is can be used in different ways, couldn't it? Some people take it in different ways, even take it as insulting, or they use it as constructive and positive feedback for the future. But there we go. Hey Trail, hey, how are you? I remember putting in the train simulator stream yesterday the amount of bugs that the game has in Long Island Railroad route with passengers on tracks and on signals, and they didn't bother to respond. Dovetail is a joke. There's bugs on Long Island Railroad. I've been there for months and they have not been addressed or fixed. I'll be honest. I don't actually encounter many of those bugs. I will be honest, my Long Island Railroad experience has been pretty consistent. I don't see, on mine in particular, I mean, I don't see any, you know, passengers on tracks and on signs and things like that. I don't actually have that problem. I don't know if it's a separate issue or if it's whether it's a more common issue. I honestly don't know, but certainly from my perspective, I haven't had much issue with the Long Island Railroad. I'll be honest. I mean, it may not be accurate or exactly like real life, some parts of Long Island Railroad, but from a bug perspective, I mean, it's been pretty okay for me. But obviously Dovetail don't want to respond because yeah, but they'll just get embarrassed by it basically, and that will turn people away, I suppose. Not just with the bugs that people suggest, but probably with their response too, actually. You don't get much joyous response from them, do you? That's something I've noticed in their streams. They don't sound very joyous themselves, to be honest. Whether it's Matt Pedalston or someone else. They look a bit downcast about it. Like they look a bit like they know the future train sim world is a bit grim. I hope that's not true. Hope it doesn't happen to be that way, but there we go. Our next stop is Willington, due in at 13:01 in about 2.7 miles time. Jackson Payne, it's in the tunnels at New York Penn. Okay, tell a lie, I will be honest, I do have that bug of the Penn tunnel slightly glitching out at New York Penn. I presume it's because you're going too fast or something, or yeah, it just decides to fuck itself up, I don't know. But yeah, I do have that bug on Long Island Railroad. I mean, in the past, train sim mode has had a few infamous bugs. I remember one bug where it, I can't remember, but I think it was where it's literally just made the game unplayable, I think, on the PS4, I think, last year. And the most annoying one I had recently was was when the freaking cameras kept playing up. Like they kept cab sway turned on even though I turned it off. That's one thing I was annoyed about, but thankfully they fixed it. And then of course there was the pretty bad release of Canadian National. That had a few big quite a few issues actually. And they fixed two of the main ones, like the map apparently was very inaccurate in terms of where you can go and where you can't. The ethanol loading tank procedure was broken, but that's thankfully been fixed. I tried that after that patch came out. A-Trail, they say putting it in the forums, but nothing is done, so hence why I'm annoyed. I put a ticket in and nobody's come back to me. The forums is I don't know, it's kind of a joke, but then it kind of isn't really. I think because the forum is so bloody big, full of people, you know, I think because the forum is so big and with quite passionate views, and the fact that FTL doesn't even have a community manager at the moment means it's, I don't know, there's probably a 725 to 1 chance that your forum post will get recognised by a Dovetail member. Yeah, but the forums are interesting, you know, to look at, like route suggestions, loco suggestions. There are some pretty damn good suggestions when people put their time and mind to it. You know, they do come up with some really fascinating, detailed suggestions. And and so that is pretty positive with the forums. But in terms of like seeing responses from Dovetail, in terms of bug reports and all this and that, yeah, not very good. Jackson Payne, a Wales route would be nice. Yeah, I think a route in Wales would be pretty good. A Mount Snowdon one comes to mind. I think that'd be awesome. A little railway that tackles the highest mountain in England and Wales. I think that would be really cool to see. I think it's called Mount Snowdon. Yeah, Mount Snowdon. Atro, what do you think of the future of Train Sim World? Do you think it will have the same fate as Flight Sim World? I don't think it will have the same fate as Flight Sim World. I think Train Sim World has become pretty big now, and I think if they drop that, it will be like setting off a nuclear bomb in their car park, I suppose. It would be a bit suicidal if they dumped Train Sim World. It is growing in popularity very slowly, and in time they're slowly getting to grips with making locos and routes at a quicker rate. There's a bit more quality to the routes and locos department, and of course they're getting on board third-party developers like River Games. So and of course there's the next gen of consoles coming out end of the year / next year. So there is a bit of hope for Train Sim World, and I think it does have a bright future, but we've got to be careful in terms of we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I mean, if you look at when Train Simulator first came out and compare that to now, it's a completely different beast. So yeah, it's going to take a bit of time to get to those kind of levels. But I don't think it will be axed like Flight Sim World. No, I don't think Dovetail can do that, really. I don't think they will do it. It's too. They've done so much, and to just throw in the towel with it is I think would be quite insulting, actually. Right, well, here we are, coming up to Willerton. This is the engine shed where the engines are stored, I believe, here in West Somerset. Brake. Thank you. Let's check the map. Well, we are facing backwards. That's why the camera's playing up a bit. We got any other services tootling around here? Oh, we have got a service that's approaching us pretty shortly. Which loco is pulling it? I have no idea. Let's have a look. Station, Minehead, when I can find it. Where is Minehead? God, it's so far away. No, that's not it. There it is. We've got a 09/08 locomotive service there. We've got a train sitting there as always, like a mannequin. So that's ideal. Ish. I just wish Dovetail could improve the way that they address the community when it comes to bugs and responding to forums. We put the bugs we see so they can be fixed, not to be ignored. I agree. I think communication does need to be addressed. Hopefully when they get a new community manager, that might solve the problem, maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, communication is lacking a bit regarding the forums. I think the forums need a bit of a clean-up. It looks a bit outdated, I'm not gonna lie. From a design perspective, I think the forum needs a bit of a lick of paint. But hey, that's just me being me, isn't it? Jackson Payne, the Ohio Department of Transportation has announced a high-speed rail system for Ohio. Wow. Hasn't just literally come in, has it? Wow. What good timing that is, discussing high-speed rail in the States, and it comes out when there's an announcement like that. Ooh, I'm like a guru, I can predict the future. Yeah, but today's been okay here for me in the UK. It's been a lovely sunny day once again. I tell you, well, it's been burning hot. The past few days it's been so hot, it's been unbelievable. I mean, and probably people from North America was watching this saying, come on, 25 to 18 degrees is nothing compared to what we experienced, but trust me, it's been hot here. It feels way more than 24, 25 I've been getting for the past few days. I would say from Sunday it's just been swelteringly hot. Today, what did I do? Sunday I didn't do anything, I just sunbathed and had a dip in the hot tub. Monday I did the same. Tuesday did the same. Today I decided to not relax for a change, and I decided to do a bit of gardening. Which was nice to do something, I suppose, outside, other than just catching the sun and burning myself to death. Jackson Bay was in 2015. It has not been cancelled. It will be 850 miles. Wow, that's going to be a long time for completion. Truth above. Apparently Amtrak, in the video I was watching about why North American trains and why Amtrak sucks, there was a statistic saying that apparently to revolutionise the railroad, apparently would cost in the region of, what was it, $350 billion, which is ridiculously that's a ridiculous amount of money. I think it was something like that, like $350 billion or something. I'm not too sure. Let me just get it up, those statistics. I just find that just watching these type of documentary videos on railways in other countries, and my country as well, I think it's fascinating. But hey, that's just my opinion. Let me just have a look. I'll just have to find it a minute. Not 350, sorry, it was $151 billion, which is mad. There's a class 47, that's the culprit, that's the train, that's the loco that's pulling that service. That's probably why we're waiting a long time till 1302. Yeah, I'm just looking at the video again of why trains suck in America. But Amtrak, there was pretty interesting statistics. If you compare their passenger numbers, in 2018 they had 31.7 million passengers. The following year it was 32. For services has increased, and apparently they're also creating a new type of service to be used on the Northeast Corridor, known as the, I don't know how you say it, bloody hell, the Afila Liberty, some sort of high-speed train, that could be apparently potentially used on the Northeast Corridor, going from was it Boston to Washington DC or something like that. So Very, very interesting. These types of videos, they make you question all sorts of things. Then, and it does inspire you. All these things. A trail now, if only Amtrak could have a cross-country high-speed route. Yeah, that'll need a bit of a miracle, I think. Edward, the launch is pushed to Saturday due to bad weather. Oh dear. That's already a disaster then for this SpaceX thing. It's probably, I don't know, I could just imagine it failing. I could just imagine it like taking off and then blowing up into 1,000 pieces. Because that's mostly what I've seen space rocket launches be like the past few years. I know it's pretty sad, me, and pretty negative of me saying that, but it's what you think of, isn't it? Really. Jack's saying a TGV train going from Florida to California would be a great thing. Florida to California, that could be doable, couldn't it? Going from Florida to California, yeah, I think. With a Bright Line or Amtrak or whoever the hell run those tracks, I'm sure they'll be thinking about. I'm pretty sure that must be on the table in terms of future developments. Atro, you know, I'd be seeing people on some Dovetail streams asking for extensions. Yeah, extensions, people do want to see a lot of it, a few extensions. I mean, the only real extension we've had is that German route with Rheinroth-Osting linking up to Ruhr-Signord. In terms of extensions, I think I would like to see... tough one that, isn't it? I'd quite like to see Tees Valley get an extension to maybe... sugar, what was it? Newcastle? Was it Newcastle? I'm trying to think, it's on my head, I do apologise. I think it was Newcastle, yeah, something like that. I think North East Corridor could definitely get an extension, maybe to Washington DC. That would be quite nice to see. Transpennine, would they get an extension maybe? Transpennine could have an extension, couldn't it? I don't know where to, but that would be nice to see. Okay, now it's time to rock and roll. Okay, I've locked them. Excellent. That's a terrible high horn, the 33. The low horn is pretty good, but the high horn is so badly looped. It's awful. I mean, listen to it. Our next stop is Doniford Holt, less than a mile's time, due in at 13:05. Happy times. Jackson Payne, Amtrak used to be in Columbus. Now they tore down the station. Oh dear. Well, they probably tore down the station to save money, I suppose, and make money too by selling it to someone else, probably to make houses or something. Trail, the Avelia, I can't say that freaking name. The Avella, I don't know. The Avelia Liberty train is capable of 200 miles per hour plus. Well, it's a pretty quick train, isn't it? It would be nice. I'm sure the North Americans would love to have that. Well, to see any 200 mile per hour train anywhere in America. I think a solution to the debate of extension would be to dovetail to do an official poll in the forums to ask if people want route extensions or new routes, so we can debate to the end. So the debate can end. Yeah, I think that would be quite a nice thing. I think they should do a separate thing, really, like what new routes they'd like to see, and then what route extensions people would like to see, and then just cherry pick all the good ones, or the one that's had the most votes, and make that. But obviously, I'm pretty sure it must be pretty hard to make routes at the moment, of course, with the pandemic. I mean, we've got to remember, since lockdown here in the UK, they haven't released one new route. No, none. The only route they released in lockdown was the latest German route, Hauptstrecke Rhein route. But that was like just over a week into lockdown, and I'm sure they practically finished the route before the lockdown, and since then all they've been making is, well, they've made 2 local add-ons. One for Mainz-Bahn and of course the M3. Okay, here we are approaching Donniford Holt. Here's Donniford Holt. This is apparently a request stop. So obviously someone must have requested to get off. Okay. Oh, brake. Oh, I've gone a bit over the marks, but it's not the end of the world. God, the brakes are squeaky. Jesus. Wrong button. Oh, okay. Coaches. I don't know how many coaches got on, but. Well, obviously not all of them, but at least a couple was on. Jackson Penny pronounced it correct the first time. Oh, the Avila Liberty train. Oh, okay. Jackson Payne and EMD ST70ACELW. God, that's a long name. Would be a great freight train for a British route, and it has a EM2000. Sounds juicy. Just trying to think of that sodding. Oh, I'm trying to think of that extension on Tees Valley. I had it in my mind. I can't think of it, man. Let me go to Darlington a minute. I'm on Apple Maps in the moment, so very creative of me. Yeah, I think it goes this way. Just trying to think where it goes to. Where does it go to? Sodding thing. Eastgate, that's it. Eastgate, yeah, an extension to Eastgate. That's the extension I was looking at. Yeah, going from Darlington to Eastgate. That would be a lovely. Or Bishop's Auckland, actually. Or maybe Bishop's Auckland. That's what I was looking. I'm such an idiot. God, why don't I... Honestly, when I do these streams, I really should make notes of my suggestions. I won't be thinking for 20 minutes about what I'm even on about. Right. Next stop is Watch It. Oh, Watch It, yeah. During 13:11 in less than a mile's time. There we go. A-Trail, I feel like there is no point posting things on the forums because of no community manager. It's like I'm annoyed even though they are red. Well, the fact they've got no community manager is a bit of a joke, to be honest. You know, when Dimitri left, was it nearly a month ago now, isn't it? Jesus Christ, where's time going? Yeah, the fact that they didn't have a replacement lined up immediately after Dimitri's departure is astonishing to me. You know, absolutely incredible. Why don't they have one lined up straight away? I do not know, but there we go. Jackson Penn EMD GT50AC will be another great train for a British route. So the EMD 70AC and the EMD GT50 AC. I wonder which route they'll be useful on. I'll have to search them up in a minute when I next come to the bus stop. Watch it, I have to look them up. Then visually I'll recognise what they are. I don't know if they're old, I don't know if they're new, I've honestly no idea. I mean, people may think I'm like a train expert, honestly. I don't have much knowledge. I think I've got more knowledge about football and Formula 1 than trains. Oh dear, right. Need to start braking. So approaching watch it now. Watch it is the Dutch for railroad crossing. Oh, interesting. Well, then there is a railroad crossing, or a slight little crossing for pedestrians just before the platform. That seems okay. True, the reason why Dovetail doesn't have a community manager is because it's hard to find a person who likes trains and fishing simulator. That's their excuse. Maybe I should be a community manager then. I wouldn't be good at fishing. Bloody hell, I don't know a thing about anything about fishing. It's truth. But I'll probably be good at community manager. I'll just put a load of responses to most things that are interesting to post. I mean, it probably won't be good responses, but I'll probably put to people who complain about bugs and things, saying, yep, we're on the case, we're working on a fix, have no worries, it will be sorted. A response like that would brighten up a lot of people's day. It's better than no response at all, isn't it? There we go. Here's watch it. Jackson Penn. It's a part of the new line of trains called Progress Rail, and there is an American and a British version for both trains. Ah, okay. Fair enough. A-Trail, but when it comes to a community manager, shouldn't they have separate community manager for train simulator and fishing simulator? Well, that's what I would have thought, but unless they want a community manager that does both, which I think that would be quite hard, wouldn't it? Being a community manager of both train simulator and fishing simulator, that's a lot of pressure, because mentally that's a hell of a lot to take on board. And I'm sure it's not an easy thing. Being a community manager isn't easy, but being a community manager of two completely different games, that's a different thing in itself. That's a challenge in itself. Bloody hell. I'm just gonna have a look at the GT50 AC. Yeah, maybe when I type in GT, it just comes up with Ford Shelby. Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be great to see. Just looking at pictures of it. Yeah, look at that. Interesting. Okay, let's go. Next stop is Washford. Due in at 13:20, 2.2 miles time. Let's get going, come on. Just can't wait for the brakes to do their thing. Come on, let's go. Now got a bit of a steep incline, so that might hinder our progress slightly. Should be okay to proceed. Excuse me. I'll have a look at the chat. Have you ever played Fishing Sim World? I have never even heard of it until a few days ago. I've heard of Fishing Sim World, but I'm not... it doesn't really interest me. It sounds a bit boring, if you ask me. Jackson Penn is a list of few new trains. Thank you very much. For Europe, thank you. A-Trail. I didn't even know Dovetail had a flight simulator, but because it failed, it's probably why I never heard of it, yeah. I've no idea how good it was, but it must have been a pretty bad one. It's certainly not up to the standards of Microsoft Flight Simulator, let's put it that way. Speed limit of the usual 25. Alex Carter, hey, from New York City. Hope you're well. Hope everyone who is watching or commenting on the chat or watching the live stream, hope everyone is all safe and well in their respective towns and cities or countries or continents. A-Trail, I can't wait for Microsoft Flight Simulator when it comes out on the Xboxes. Yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator, that looks unbelievable. I mean, just watching some videos of it on IGN or something, the attention to detail is absurd. I mean, you could quite literally get in a plane and drive over your house, and you see your house and the detail of it. And it looks incredible. It looks unbelievable. I think that was one of the standout moments of when they announced the Xbox Series X last year, which for a for a simulator of that kind, you wouldn't believe it, would you? Usually you'd hear one of the more big blockbuster games or something, but no. But the fact it stole the show because of, from its technical standpoint. Not usually a flying simulator person, I'll be deep down honest. I'm not a big fan of planes because I'm scared of heights. It's my biggest fear. But yeah, if I will, when I eventually purchase the Series X, or it'll be the end of the year or next year, I'd like to give Flight Simulator a go. Mr. Mats, hey, how are you? Jackson, also the GT46 ACE Gen 2 for a new train. A lot of suggestions, but good suggestions. I think the Pendolino would be quite cool to see. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? I think any high-speed train at the moment would be great to see on Train Sim World. I quite like to see the Deltic diesel locomotive. Very famous diesel locomotive. It's big, it's powerful, it's fantastic. What's the time in the UK? 5 to 10. That's not too bad. A-Trail, imagine if Dovetail made a bus sim world. Yeah, I mean, you could come up with all sorts of things, couldn't you? A boat sim world, a bus sim world, a truck sim world, you name it. Submarine sim world, I don't know. Yeah, but bus sim world, I'm a bit here and there with the bus games. They're quite interesting, but they're not quite at the top of my radar, really. Mr. Matt, some good thanks, excellent, good to hear. A-Trail, it's almost 5 PM in NYC. How's it going in New York City? Obviously, New York in particular was hard hit with the COVID-19 at first. Is it getting any better in New York City? In London, it's getting progressively better. Amount of infections and deaths are falling substantially. Here in the UK, they're thinking of opening up some little schools in a few days' time, actually, next week. And they're also thinking of opening non-essential shops, so, you know, McDonald's or shopping centres and all that by the middle of next month. So slowly London and the UK is getting back to normality, albeit it won't be the old normal, it will be more like a new normal. But yeah, it looks like we're finally starting to come to the end of it, but we've got to be careful, of course. Just because everything's going back to normal doesn't mean to say we can't be wary of others and our surroundings. Don't want to risk having a second peak. That's the last thing we need. Not just in the UK but around the world. I think Brazil and South America, they're getting COVID-19 now. Well, in terms of being hit with it, they're being hit with it pretty hard at the moment. And the Brazilian president is being an absolute pain in the neck. Keeps writing it off, saying it won't affect the country, or it's fake or something. I mean, Christ's sake, man, get a grip of yourself. That's what I'd say to him. A-Trail, do you play Bus Sim 18? No, I don't play any bus simulator games, actually, I'll be honest. A-Trail, it's getting better in New York City with COVID, although cases in the Bronx and Brooklyn, particularly low-income communities, are slightly going up. Well, that doesn't surprise me, does it? The poor is suffering, and the rich, they're kind of suffering, but nowhere near as bad, not nowhere near as to the levels of the lower income communities, let's put it lightly. Sad, isn't it? Even in 2020, still that kind of Robin Hood kind of thing, isn't there? Rich and the poor. Freaking hell, wish money never existed sometimes. Jackson Payne, the Turbo Star is a good candidate for a new train. I quite like to see the Eurostar, the old one and the new one. That would be quite cool, because then you could go to 2 different countries, England and France. I mean, okay, the route might be a bit long for Dovetail's liking, but London to Paris, maybe in the future, maybe. Right, the next stop is Blue Anchor, due in at 13:37. Not far from the end. Come on, let's go. Oh, it's not liking it. Oh. 33 wasn't liking that. Probably had a few sparks coming out of the wheels. There we go.
A-Trail, you've got cases of some rich people who live in New York City leaving because of this virus, and the economical impact of the city is expected to face, which won't be great. No, I think you could say that to most major cities, I suppose, to be honest. So many, you know, Tokyo, London, I presume Beijing and China, Shanghai in particular, of course New York City, Madrid, Milan, you name it. Amsterdam, I'm sure a few major cities will have those particular problems. I think it's a bit disgusting that the rich is flying away, because in many respects actually they're flying away, but it's not going to be all rosy wherever they end up, let's be honest. There'll still be some cases of COVID-19 or lockdown in other countries and continents, so they won't be travelling very far. Unless they're going to travel to Antarctica or Alaska or something and hide there for the next month or two. Jackson Payne, the Eurostar car train is a good addition to a Eurostar route. I don't know much about the Eurostar, like the locomotives and such and so forth, but I just think the Eurostar itself will be a nice little route. Just got to check something out a minute. Hang on. That was it. Just going to look at New York Penn Station. I mean, look at you see these underground stations in Manhattan, but you don't usually see the exterior from the outside. I've got to find it first. Where is it? It's not far from the Empire State Building, actually, and not far from Times Square, Grand Central Terminal. Well, Grand Central would be nice to see, wouldn't it? It's actually right underneath Madison Square Garden, in fact. Let me see if I can put it in satellite mode. Oh yeah, look at that. What is it? I'll have to have a look at that another day. I thought there'd be like little station exterior for it, like a separate exterior for it. I didn't think it'd be inside another big building or something. I thought it'd have its own little separate building, but there you go. That's the reason why I need to visit New York City. Maybe not this year, maybe in the future. I mean, I've never been to New York and I'd love to go there one day soon. It's on my to-do list of life activities. Oh, good God. Come on, get off those brakes, you sodding thing. Already? Am I running late? What is the time? 13:28 and it says 13:37. Wow, we're running ahead of schedule once again. That's good to see. There we go. I'll have a look at the chat in a minute, folks. I just want to get to this stop. Also, I'm only doing a one-way trip on West Somerset. I won't be doing a route, I won't be going back to Bishop's Lydeard from Minehead. Oh, there's another train. Oh, hello, it's the Class 09, is it? Was it the Class 08? Can't tell. Something they need to improve on Train Sim World is the graphics. In terms of long distance, it's very poor. I think that's an 09. It is, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. That's got, what, 4 carriages? Yeah, they did it when they had a patch in December, and they added a journey mode to West Somerset Railway. They addressed the number of coaches that certain services use. The 09 or 08 went down
Come on, brake. Oh, good thing I used that brake. Excellent, there we go. I thought I was going to hover on the red light, so I applied the emergency brakes briefly. But yeah, they edited the amount of carriages the 09 or the 33 or 47 or whatever uses, just to try and keep close to the timetable. Because obviously some of the trains, some of the locomotives you used couldn't pull the, well, they can pull the coaches up the steep inclines, but they just weren't going anywhere near to the permitted speed limit, and of course that means it makes you late. Let's take a look at the chat. Jackson Payne is on the Bombardier website. Ask me anything about them. Okay. What's their latest plan for resuming services around the world? Thanks to COVID-19. I'm sure they've got some services running. That'd be interesting to see how would they get back up to speed. That'd be interesting. Hey Joe, it's sad that most parts of the state of New York is opening, but New York City is still shut down. Oh dear. Warren Crosby, good afternoon, good evening, Spurs Reading. Thank you. Good evening. How are you, Warren Crosby? A-Trail, Penn Station is on the west, 34th Street, 7th Avenue on the west side of Manhattan, and Grand Central Terminal is on the east, 42nd Street and Lexington Avenue on the east side. Not far from each other. Well, very fantastic information there. Great detail. Thank you. I can't wait to visit New York. I tell you, when I go to New York, I think I'll do a vlog on Amtrak or Long Island Railroad, have a little visit of the routes you see in the game. Go to New York Penn Station and film some action there. We'll go on the Long Island Railroad and take a little trip on one of the trains. Yeah. I'll tell you, when I do go to New York, I have to find one of you guys and give me a little tour around the railroad's sightseeing and all that. Not just sightseeing for the touristy stuff, but maybe railroad stuff as well would be quite cool. I think Long Island City would be quite cool to see, and Sunnyside Yard, that'd be quite cool. Jackson Payne, I thought the brakes were being silly then. I'll just quickly let the brakes charge themselves. Right, Jackson Payne, a French route featuring the, I don't know how you say, Omnio, I don't know, works would be great. Yeah, I think a French would be good. I'd quite like to see one in the south of France. I think that would be a pretty picturesque route. A-Trail, Grand Central Terminal, main station house, or Menzan is very beautiful, but the Metro North Station platforms in Grand Central Terminal look run down with rats and are terrible with some lead in the walls. Oh my god. Well, that's definitely one place I won't be visiting then. I'll visit Grand Central, but obviously not the Metro North. It's funny, Dovetail and Train Simulator have been publishing quite a bit of American content, or North American content, regarding Train Simulator. They added some DLC to Sherman Hill, and they also added some bits to the Metro North as well, if I remember correctly. Jackson Payne in the Omnia is a double-decker train. They just started manufacturing the Talent Free. Ooh, the Talent Free. Ooh, juicy. Right, we've got a clear run to Minehead. Oh, it's not very, still quite a bit to go. We're on the final assault. So that's good. I need to get a drink when I finish. To tell you, when you do these train sim stuff, like particularly on the longer routes, it does drain you mentally. God, concentration levels have to be on point, as the younglings call it. Well, I'm still young, but you know, I'm not a teenager anymore. Wish I was still young. I mean, today I posted my first TikTok in over 15 days. Good God, what's going on? What's happened to me? I mean, and then all of a sudden I think it was like the 5th of May or something, or what was it, the 15th of May, and all of a sudden I just stopped. got bored of it. And if you say that to a teenager these days, he'll be like, you got bored of TikTok? What's wrong with you? It's not boring at all. I quickly lose interest in some things. Jackson Payne, it looks nice. Good. Looking after FIFA Talent Free on Google later on tonight or today. The station platforms in Penn Station are slightly better than the platforms on GCT, but they're not the cleanest, especially on the Long Island Railroad platforms. So I think when you compare New York Penn Station to all that kind of area on Train Sim World, if you compare it, the Long Island Railroad version to Northeast Corridor, it's massively different. Graphically it's better, the stability frame rate is better-ish, the activity, like the services, I think Long Island Railroad beats the Amtrak ACS, the Northeast Corridor in terms of busyness at New York Penn Station. And actually Sunnyside Yard, I went for a walk around on Sunnyside Yard on the Long Island Railroad route, and it looks so much better, and the sounds are different too. Even though there's no trains around, the atmosphere is way better compared to Northeast Corridor. That's why I wish they just clean up Northeast Corridor, and I think they will when it comes to August time or something, because usually they release like a Train Sim World 2021 or something. I don't know if they will this year, but they might release it, I don't know. Yeah, when the next big update comes along, I think they'll add journey modes to Rapid Transit and Northeast Corridor, and I think hopefully for Northeast Corridor it will see the fixes and maybe a bit of a visual revamp. A lot of people, myself included, would love to see. Because as I said at the beginning of the stream, I think Northeast Corridor is a very underrated route. It's got good experience, different driving experiences. I think the freight services are actually one of the best, actually, in the game. With the GP30-2, you've got so many different things going on, yard switching, taking trains up and down to Harlem River Terminal. You've got one at the very end, which is a massive, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 hour long, if you like, scenario of going from the yard to, I can't remember where, but you've got to take it right the way out. I forget where it was, I don't know, but then you got to be, it's a long freight train, you take it to, I don't know where, you stop, and then you take control of a little switcher, and it cuts the train in half, and then you get another load of freight cars that is in a yard down below, and you got to hitch it all up together. And yeah, but I think the freight services with the 38-2 on NEC are actually, in my opinion, they're one of the best in terms of variety and length of gameplay. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling on. It's time to go. Next stop is Dunster, 1346, in about 1.8 miles time. Got the camera. I haven't been out the camera at all today. It's quite cool, isn't it? Using cabins as, well, lodges if you like to stay in, or homes, little homes to stay in. Well, they're like hotels, aren't they? Stations are getting onto me today, good God. Warren Crosby, Minola Station is getting a big change. They are adding a third track and the rail tower, and the crossing will be removed. Check out rush hour on Long Island Railroad at that station. Ooh, okay. The rail tower and the crossing will be removed. What's the rail tower? What's that? What is that, like a water tower or some shit? I don't know. Excuse me, language. Jackson Payne, the talent free will only be powered by a battery. Ooh, wow, that's ambitious. A-Trail, although I will say that Penn Station TSW Train Simulator modelled inaccurately for Amtrak,
NJ Transit and especially the Long Island Railroad platforms, it's like they didn't bother making it accurate. Well, they do tend to rush these routes out, don't they, so they can get a bit of cash in their pockets. That's tend to be their motto, isn't it? Pump the routes out and then add things to it later down the line to make it feel more complete. Or in other words, they make the route to the point where that's how the route should be when it first came out. But you know, hey, what can we do? Jackson Penn, Canada uses talent trains. Warren Crosby, the old, oh, it's an old signal tower. I see. Oh, that'd be sad. Don't get rid of the old signal tower, it's cool. It's old school. I like old school. Shane Jones, he's back. Hey, how are you? Right, H-Rail, a rail tower in Minola is there to switch tracks from the main line on the Long Island Railroad and the Long Island Railroad Oyster Bay branch, which turns to the left after Minola. Ah, I know what you mean, yes. Jackson Penn, maybe Dovetail could add a monorail route. Yeah, I think a monorail route would be quite interesting. I mean, they've kind of got a monorail system there, haven't they? Oh no, it's quite different. The Schwebbaum suspension railway in Germany. I think a monorail would be really interesting. I think trams as well, that could be quite cool. You know, trams in Portugal or London, the big green ones in London, pretty famous. Shane Jones, can you drive the Baby Bullet? Not in today's stream, but I'll certainly consider it for future streams. Shane Jones would like to see the horseshoe curve. Sounds interesting. Wonder what the horseshoe curve is. I'll have to have a look at that on Google. Shane Jones, I'm good. What about you? I'm good, thank you. Okay, we're approaching Dunster now. We have a silly speed limit of 10 miles per hour. Jackson Penn may be a... I don't know how you say that. Innova monorail? Don't know what an Innova... Don't know where that is, but I'll have to look that up, that's for sure. Also, just to point out that I might lose all your chats from when the live stream gets re-uploaded to YouTube. I discovered when I previously uploaded the live stream of the Shunter, the live chat replay thing is broken. I don't know why. It wasn't working on that particular video. So if it happens to this one, then yeah, there's nothing I can do. It's entirely out of my control. I don't know why I started doing that, but only very, very strange. Hopefully it was just a one-off, but yeah, I can't have that because, you know, people do like to watch back these live streams and they like to see the chat going on. Of course, if the chat isn't working, then it's not very good, is it? Hopefully it's just a one-off. Hopefully. Alright, we've got to start braking. Brake. There you go. Oh, we're so close, so near yet so far to the end. Jackson Penn, it's in Las Vegas. Okay. Shane Jones, maybe the Metro Rail. Atro, I wonder why Dovetail Games releases new routes in a half-track of Rhino route, but you enter what looks like a busy station in real life, but is empty as hell. Atro like Duisburg Station. It's interesting, isn't it? I don't know if it's I don't think it's the lack of services there. I think it's the atmosphere that lacks busyness. You know, seeing AI passengers, and that's something I'm quite critical about the AI passengers itself. When they're on, you don't see, you know, full to the brim trains. Not just AI, but the train you're driving as well. The carriages. When you do passenger services, they're quite empty. Even at rush hour, they're not particularly full. And also, the AI passengers, they lack a bit of common sense. Like, for example, when it's tipping down with rain, they don't wear a raincoat or have an umbrella. And I think that'd be quite cool, add a bit more realism to it. Actually, it's surprising how the game has been out for a while and yet there is a lack of passengers at stations. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Particularly at the big stations, you know, like for example, like Jamaica or New York Penn or London Paddington or Manchester Leeds, you know, really big stations, you know, busy stations. But it feels like a ghost town. Like the apocalypse, and it feels like, well, to be honest, at the moment, actually, I'll be honest, ironically, over stations are practically, the atmosphere is bang on like real life. Because the pandemic, there's hardly anyone there, so for once the stations, the atmosphere in the stations in Train Sim World, they're very, very accurate to real life at the moment, so I suppose that's one plus point. Alright, let's get going, shall we? For the last one, Minehead, wow. Due in at 13:54, and this stream will then come to an end. There's not just empty stations too that at the moment Dovetail is got bang on due to the pandemic, but trains as well. To get back into the cab, that might be wise. Right, we're nearly there now, nearly there. Thankfully the stream has held out, which is nice for a change. I wish my internet could be improved, but at the moment it can't. So there we go. Well, Grocery Horseshoe Curve is a popular curve in Pennsylvania for freight trains, and they climb a steep hill and curve around the mountain. It was built by Pennsylvania Railroad. Ooh, that sounds cool. Climb a steep hill and curving around a mountain. Oh, I'd love to see that. I'll tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see CSX Heavy Haul make an appearance one day on the consoles. Maybe when the next gen consoles arrive, maybe that would be a possibility. Who knows? True, I mean, empty stations due to the pandemic is realistic, absolutely. Less than a mile to go. Wonder what this mannequin loco will be at Minehead. I don't know if it's a mannequin. Usually every time I do a service on West Somerset there's a train that's always sitting there at Minehead.
Just wondering, do I have to do anything else when I stop at Minehead? Do I have to run round the train maybe? I'm not sure. I didn't think about that actually. Of course, just like to say, as I'm sure you usually hear me and many YouTubers say, if you enjoyed the stream or video when it gets re-uploaded to the channel, of course, make sure to give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. And people do say to me that, oh, I don't know about your streaming schedule, or I don't get notified. Well, best way to do that is get your friends and to subscribe to me, and then the quicker we get to 1,000, the more happily then I'll be able to update you much more of that community tab thing on the page. I think when you get to 1,000 you get that little community tab thing, which would be quite cool to have, and also it means I get a bell notification, and which means that my fellow subscribers will be able to push and the bell will be activated, and then you'll know what the latest, and you'll be the first to know of the latest content and streams and etc, etc, etc. So nice bit of advertising for me there. And here we are, into Minehead we go, here we go. I mean, I'm optimistic about TSW future. However, Dovetail need to get their act together. Maybe if TSW had a competitor, maybe even Dovetail would finally fix the problems with the game instead of trying to cash. Yeah, maybe it does need a competitor. There's another one called Trains. That's the only other competitor I can think of from the top of my head. More and more, I see. More and more, yeah, more and more subscribers. Oh yes. It's a bit annoying you don't get this community tab on your channel or the bell notification to start off with. It'll make it so much more easier. Not just for me, but for people that enjoy my content. Might as well say it, because I'm on about it. Next stream will be either the end of the week, Friday, Saturday or Sunday night. Well, afternoon, wherever you are, or evening, morning, whatever time you're watching this. That will be, that's usually when I try and stream. Doesn't always work out successfully, but when it does, it's pretty good. Stop, there we go. Just noticed that on the right hand side, ironic, the locomotive that sits there is today the Class 33, the one I'm driving. Oh, my nose. Don't worry, I haven't got COVID-19, in case you're wondering. I haven't got that, so don't panic. I'm not going to die from it, even if I did have it. I'm a strong man, I can survive anything. But I enjoyed that, it was a good run. It would be nice to see more surfaces on West Somerset, but of course, because most of it's dominated by a single track, it's quite difficult to squeeze more surfaces on. There we go. I mean, and people want to see the Class 101 make an appearance on West Somerset, and that would be quite cool to see. I mean, the fact that we've got, what, the Class 08, both liveries of the Class 08, you've got the Class 52 and the Class 31 to play with, you get quite different driving experiences with the locomotive add-ons. I mean, the 33 is the best because it actually adds a layer to the timetable mode. 28 services this has compared to the usual 15 or something the 47 gets. Now we have to wait till 13:55. Okay, not long, not long, not long. Hey Trail, enjoyed this. Excellent. Smiley face emoji. Excellent. Glad you did. Hope everyone has enjoyed it. Might not be over yet. I don't know what's going to happen next. Ah, okay, we do have to do something. uncouple 7 coaches. Stop as indicated. Oh, where are we going? We're going down here. Okay. Not quite finished yet. Let's have a look. Let's go. Not quite finished yet. Thought that was the end, but it's not. We're going somewhere else. We're going to go and park up, are we? Come on, brake. Unexpected vehicle formation. What are you on about? There we go. Well, we've made it. So we stopped Crocombe Heathfield, Stacumber, Willerton, Doniford Holt, Watchet, Washford, Blue Anchor, Dunster, and then finishing up at Minehead. I got a silver medal. I'll take that. Over the speed limit quite a bit actually. That took 1 hour and 40 minutes, 10,608 action points. Excellent. That's pretty good going actually. Let me just go back to free roam a minute. Do I have to wait? How long do I have to wait? Just over a minute. Yeah, screw it. I'll do it. Why not? I'll do it. Why not? Just got to park it up somewhere, haven't we? And that's it, I think. I'm Crosby. Great stream. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day too. Take care. I wonder how much money Dovetail make from their routes. Too much money. It'd be in the thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, for sure. Very expensive they are. Too expensive. I think routes should be 15 to 20 quid. And no, £15 for a route, and I think the locos should be £7. I think that's fair. That's fair. 6 to 7 quid, or dollars, whatever. What have we got to go to? The Minehead Up Loop. Okay. Now usually you have to change ends, but can't be bothered to be honest. Alright. Let's go. Backwards, let's go. God, these brakes. Slow, come on, let's go. That'll do. Alright. Let's just keep going. Minehead Up Loop. Okay. I presume it's going to reverse, go around the train and coaches and couple up to the other end for the return leg. I would have thought the other 33 would have been used for that, but maybe not. Yes, okay, 2 minutes. Silver medal? What a joke. Come on, should be a gold easily. It's not very nice. Now that should do it, surely. Web reserve is at 15:55. Okay, fair enough. That is it. Now the stream is finished. Oh no, I have to do it racing that way. There we go. That concludes the stream. Taking a look at West Somerset in the summer with the green Crompton, the class 33. So yes, I hope you enjoyed the stream, everyone. I certainly have. It was nice to revisit West Somerset. I enjoyed speaking to you all as well. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next stream. Take care, everyone. Thank you.